got the wonderful introduction from John, so I'll move on. And so from the IFoA, an introductory slide about who we are. We are a global organization. Over half of our members are outside of the UK. So we're historically British, but actually we're now quite a global and international organization in over 127 countries around the world. And we have various teams which work to support and build partnerships and work together with stakeholders in different parts of the world. And our members work in a huge, wide variety of different areas. As this is specifically about accreditation, accreditation is one of the means by which the IFoA does offer people to gain exemptions from previous examinations or qualifications or other things that people have they've achieved something else. So we do work to provide exemptions from that. In this case, it's more specifically going to be about the accreditation for either undergraduate degrees, master's degrees, or postgraduate diplomas. So the benefits to accreditation, a lot have been mentioned previously, but it's global quality. It's a confirmation of that standard that when a university is accredited by the IFoA, that has the same standard that all the other accredited universities have. And linking in with one of the points that was mentioned in the Unilag NAS presentation is there's no need for the students to qualify abroad because they can qualify at home. So that talent is retained at home. And also the local accreditation, shall we say, is good value, better value than traveling to another country to obtain those exemptions. And it is one of the main key ways to build actuarial capacity faster and quicker and more locally. Now, I brought up the selection of some of our IFoA employers across Africa. This is not in any way a complete selection at all, but this shows you one of the key facets, and you'll see this when we talk about the minimum requirements, is building these collaborative partnerships with employers. They are a key part of that, and the important link with employers is the local actuarial association, because most of the members of the local actuarial association will probably be the employers themselves or be employed by the local employers. So it is working this collaboration and this partnership. So the employers are also seeking top talent, and they know that the universities are a key supplier of that and will be working together, working in partnership to make sure that the market has its immediate needs and it's addressing some of those capacity challenges that I think previous speakers have referred to. So to give you an idea of how many universities we have accredited and where they are, we've put up a summary here. This information is available on the IFoA website, maybe not exactly in the form of this slide, but if you look on some of those previous links that I included, you'll see this information. Each specific university has their own little link on the website, so you can then drill down into there. So currently a total of 66 universities, 43 of these are undergraduate, so a majority undergraduate, but we do have several that are 23 that are graduate programs. This has been ongoing for many of them since pre-1999, but we still have new ones coming on. And as we talked about, we hope that we should shortly be able to announce a further new accredited university. So when the universities do apply for exemptions, this slide demonstrates what's approximately the number of exemptions that universities apply for. You can see there is the two extremes, but for the most part, universities either apply for 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 exemptions, which is, you can see the big the sweet spot for most universities. To give you some idea of which exemptions most universities go for, this is all of the examinations and the tests and the requirement to become an associate of the IFoA. And the shall we say, all of the purple boxes, so the statistics, mathematics, finance, economics, risk modeling, and financial engineering are probably the main ones, examination exemptions that universities go for. The business management one is a case study, so that is not something that is with university exemptions. So it gives you an idea of the different things that universities look to. So we are aware that there are several myths around IFoA accreditation that I did want to ensure that we did look at and we did address. So one of the ones is when you look through all of the requirements, and the minimum requirements is that you need to have one qualified, or at least one qualified, to be a faculty member. And for IFoA accreditation, you do not. We recognize that it is not easy for universities to find qualified actuaries that are willing to work for universities. It is a huge challenge, but it is not a requirement. And so that is something that, just to make clear, you do not have to have a qualified faculty member, full-time qualified faculty member. The next thing is you have to align your curriculum with the IFoA curriculum. And actually that you don't, because it's not to solely become a IFoA only focused on the IFoA, because each university is unique and different and should be focused on what they are trying to do. And it's what they try to do, as long as there's coverage. This is not a yes or no. Accreditation is a process. It's not a yes or no. If you don't meet the standard, it's not that you're refused. It's just that it's more working together, collaborating together. It's a partnership that we form with universities, and it's about working together to get to where the university wants to be. Oh, another one that I do sometimes get is universities feel that they must choose between various bodies, that they can only be accredited by one or the other. And that's actually not true at all, because there are several universities that are accredited by more than one actuarial association. Because in the end, all of the actuarial associations which offer international examinations follow the International Actuarial Association education guidelines. So it's the same guidelines. How we interpret it is different. So the minimum requirements that we put down, so again, this is on the website and in the guidelines, is these for new and established programs. The minimum is its recognition as an institution, robust system of quality assurance, and it's sustainable on a long-term basis. And you'll see that the final bullet point is very key. And again, this links in with this partnership and the collaboration, is the regular and ongoing involvement of actuarial employer organizations, so employers, and that's really key and really important to see. So this is where it also links in with the local actuarial association, which does bring together employers. So that is one of the minimum requirements, is the involvement of employers, because each university is unique and they work within a unique environment and operate within a unique environment. How this is done, how it is going to be unique to the university. It's not a cookie cutter approach. So the minimum requirements. So the actual decisions that a university initially needs to make is just sort of two ones, is after deciding if they want to pursue IFoA accreditation, are they going to do it by an actual degree program or subject by subject? Some universities start off in a subject by subject and then move to degree programs. And then which of those IFoA examinations are they going to be seeking accreditation for the exemptions? And no time is not a university obligated to continue through the process. So universities can start and say, we need to have a pause, and they can pause. So there's no obligation. They can go. And so as we work in partnerships together, it is a feedback journey, and it is a journey. That's and there's no deadline. I believe Professor Adelecki also referred to this, is that it can take a long time. There are challenges, but it can be as fast or as slow as the university wants to progress. And we've put down some of the key aspects of what the accreditation looks to work with the university to cover. The key main one is 80% coverage of the curriculum, but also another key part is a full understanding of the curriculum delivery strategy and how it's communicated and clearly documented, and that the exams and the assessments are robust and rigorous, and then the practical computer language coverage and exams. And then finally, it's the support of the local actuarial society, the employers, and then support for the students' actuarial journey. So it's really important that all the stakeholders come together and work in partnership with this, and it's a recognition that it's about raising the standards and upskilling and the practical aspect. We're all working together to try and address, having the opportunity to provide and increase actuaries in the environment. Once the accreditation is improved, what happens next for the university? The independent examiner is appointed. The accreditation period is a 5-year period before a university goes through a re-accreditation if they choose to for this. It's only once the accreditation is approved is where the university would pay anything. So a university, while it's going through the process, the university does not pay anything. Universities receive every year the updated core reading for each of the exams for which they are accredited. For new universities and new programs or new degrees, it is standard practice to review the accreditation after the first 2 years into that 5-year accreditation period. And this is just to check progress and make sure there's no surprises and that it's working together. So that the universities and the cohort, the students, the cohort that goes through this is going to have that good, solid, technical, robust education, and so that in the end that they will be successful at further examinations. So in summary, we have this accreditation flow chart, and I think here it looks like it's 5 boxes, but what it actually highlights is that the second box, detailed submission information submitted and questions answered, is probably at least 80% of the entire time that's involved. And that's demonstrating to the accreditation panel and the Education Operation Committee that the university has the coverage and the robust assessment and the computer part of the examinations covered to the level that is a global standard. So now, how does the exemption process work for students? We've talked about for universities. So how that works is that students who begin the degree or the module or the programs when the university is accredited are the first cohort to be eligible for exemptions. So unfortunately for students who might already be through that have started perhaps the previous year or previously will not be eligible. It has to be from the point the university is accredited. The students that are that cohort, that first cohort, will gain, obviously getting the grades, because it's not just passing, it's getting the grades. And linking to this, so the exam grades, the marks, the grades that the students need to get is the grades there. So the university sets the pass mark for their exams for their courses. The university and the independent examiner decide what is going to be the grade to determine the eligibility for exemption. So you could pass, but to get the actual grade that is needed for the exemption, it will be a higher grade than the university set pass mark. Then once the students all have their grades, the university then sends the IFoA a list of those students that were deemed to be eligible for the exemptions. And when those students apply for the exemptions, the IFoA checks it against that university list. And we've now set a new rule in place that if you're eligible for exemptions, you will need to apply for those within 5 years of graduation. So I've put more information, and now I'm conscious that there are other speakers. I will end the presentation now, and then thank you very much for your time and for listening.
Thank you, Irene. Did you share like the optimal duration that it takes, the average duration for university accreditation?
Oh, the average time that it takes from when universities start to become accredited.
Yes, yes, yes.
It really depends on the universities, because each university has its own unique environment, has its own, regulatory environment that it operates within. And each university is at a different stage in development. And I know I'm not really asking it, but it can take place. And it depends on how, I guess, challenging it is from where the university is in terms of their curriculum, the coverage, the type of assessment, the amount of assessment, the depth of the assessment, and where they want to get to. So a lot of universities do look and say, oh, let's go for 6 exemptions. And then as they start working through and demonstrating how they are covering this, is that they're realizing that there are things that they perhaps need to expand or shore up or to include, that to be able to meet the 80% coverage, or to be able to demonstrate that they have the depth and breadth of the coverage and that is needed for the exemption. So it really depends on where the university is and then where they would like to get to. So it's, it just depends on the university and where they are and in the stage of their degree. Some universities, such as the Unilag, they're starting off on this master's degree, but their undergraduate degree has been in existence for a long time. So
I can see a couple of hands raised up, and I'll start with Professor Weke. Professor Weke, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Irene. I think this is quite a good eye-opener. So 2 questions. The requirement for 80% coverage of the IFoA curriculum. Should it be met in one course unit, or is it possible to meet it in multiple course units, given that different universities have different structures? One. The second one, and I must admit that I'm not talking about Unilab, but in the event that a university is applying for accreditation for postgraduate programs, and the postgraduate programs go much beyond the preliminary courses like statistics or financial mathematics and the rest. So would you assume and those preliminary ones and accredit them for the higher levels? Or how does it go?
okay, the first part of that about whether one exemption needs to be covered by only the equivalent of one university course, is, and then the second, your second question, I didn't catch what you were sort of saying at the end with some of the higher things. So let me address the first one is because we encourage universities not to exactly align their curriculum exactly with the IFoA, it is expected that not everything in one IFoA examination will be covered in one university course. It is expected that it will be 2 to 3 to 4 other courses that will have the content, or 4 other modules that will have the content to satisfy 80% of an IFoA exam. So yes, it is expected that there will be more than one class or module that will come together to demonstrate the 80% of the coverage. So hopefully that answers that first part of the question. The second part of the question, could you actually repeat that to make sure that I understood what you were asking for?
Yes, so what I'm saying is that if you look at the undergraduate program, it starts with the technical skills.
Mm-hmm.
And then the postgraduate programs go beyond the technical skills like statistics, probability, financial mathematics, and moves into applications. So for a postgraduate program that is being accredited, will they be accredited for the specialized courses? And assuming that the preliminary courses, the technical bit, the basic parts were covered.
Okay, if I is the exemptions, the accreditation that the university seeks is not limited to just the first 6 examinations. It is if the university can demonstrate 80% coverage and robust assessment, that regardless of which examination it is, that university will then gain the accreditation. So it's less about which exams, it's more, does the university cover it? Whichever exam it is, be it at the fellowship level or at the associate level, it's about the coverage. If the coverage and the assessment, the robust assessment, is demonstrated, then that's sufficient. I mean, that's 2 sentences, coverage and robust assessment, but that's a huge part of demonstrating that it is actually covered to that standard. Does that help? Did I make that clear?
Very, very clear. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Shaheen. Shaheen, are you able to ask your question?
Hi, I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes.
First, I'd just like to thank the organizers for this. This has been so insightful. We are currently applying for accreditation from ASA, the Actuarial Society of South Africa. And we are somewhat confident that we will get at least level 1 accreditation. We are almost done with the process. And what has made me happy with this presentation is that our faculty does not have a single qualified actuary, and that has been stopping us from applying for IFoA accreditation. And now I see that we do not need a qualified actuary to apply for the accreditation, and I'm so glad for that. And also I see that we can apply for accreditation from multiple bodies. So I think we can embark on IFoA accreditation. I was just wondering, in ASA, we are applying for level 1 accreditation. So I'm wondering if in IFoA we should apply for individual subjects, or is there some grouping? What would you advise for us to start off with? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for the questions, and I'm always very appreciative when people do ask questions. And if you aren't able to ask a question now, or perhaps you have a question later, you can ask it. Please contact me directly, or you can contact the AAEA, who will also be able to direct your questions. With the different requests which ones should you apply for is, I think it's probably best to look at what your coverage is currently and what that best corresponds to with the IFoA exams. So I don't want to draw a parallel that if it's level 1, it's exactly these courses because or these exams, IFoA exams, because it actually really depends on how your university and the courses you have are structured, and also in the coverage. The curriculum did go through the IFoA curriculum did go through a big change in 2029. So the exams are even called different names now. There's CMs and CSs, where a lot of people who are familiar with the previous curriculum might remember them as CTs. So it's always good to go and look at the IFoA curriculum now, and to ensure that you can see the coverage, and that will determine which exams it actually is, because it depends on how the university covers that. Does that help, Shaheen?
Oh yes, thank you so much. So we reviewed our syllabus in 2020, and we actually based it mostly on the IFoA syllabus. So I think we cover a few subjects. So I was just like, should we apply by subject, or do you think we can go for all the subjects we think we cover for at once?
Well, I think we probably need to take a look at that, maybe offline, to take a look at that, because it really does depends on what you have covered where, because each university makes decisions, their own decisions, about what they will include and which, and this ties in with, we rarely expect to see that one subject is completely covering one IFoA exam. So it depends on how the university has developed their curriculum and where that matches. So we really have to look at it. It is university by university.
All right, I think I will contact you directly.
Okay.
Because we'll end up taking so much time here.
Yes, I think there are some other speakers too.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Irene. Perhaps you can answer this final question on the chat. What's your view on universities that use some of the IFoA materials in setting their own exams? Does this impact accreditation, either positively or negatively?
Oh, I think a university should use all the resources that it has available to them. We all know that universities have challenges in all kinds of resources: time, energy, money, lecturers, resources. So any kind of resource that a university can use, the university should use so by any means, by all means, use whatever resources are available. So, if use IFoA core reading, use that is, use whatever resources are available. Yeah. No.
Okay. Okay, I'll allow 2 final questions. It seems there is a lot of demand. So are there any global trends or future developments in accreditation that IFoA is considering at the moment?
Local trends in accreditation that we're considering? But we're trends. I think more universities are becoming actively interested in, and that's part of the thing of addressing some of the myths, because I think through time it has universities have been unsure of actually what are the minimum requirements and some of the things that might perhaps make universities hesitant about applying. And it really is to say that if universities feel they are that global standard, then they should go for it, because it doesn't cost anything to go through the process, and universities can stop if they want to. If they say we need to pause, we need to stop, we can. And it's a good way to also for universities to also take a look at where they are and where they want to get to. And keeping talent local. And that's where also tying in the local association is so key and so important, is having that support of the local association is a key factor in encouraging it and supporting it and developing it. And in the end, it's about building actuarial capacity. And there aren't enough actuaries in Africa and in a lot of parts of the world. And whatever we can do to increase that capacity and keep the talent and grow the talent is very important. So we're seeing definitely more interest from universities because they can see it is possible. It's not without its challenges, but it is possible because we've seen universities, there's good universities and they're producing excellent talent, even though they aren't accredited. So it's not that they aren't good and that it's not that talent's not there. It's more, the accreditation is more of recognizing that. So, okay.
Okay, lastly, I'll ask Isaac to ask his question. Isaac. Isaac, are you able to ask the question?
Thank you so much. I'm hoping you can get me the other end. This is Etiang Isaac, lecturer at Garissa University. Just a quick question. That if a university is interested in accreditation of its master's program in actuarial science, and let's say this university is offering master's by research, can it really manage to go through the accreditation process now that it's offering master's by research? Thank you.
I think it comes down to the three things. It's the coverage of the curriculum. Is the curriculum being covered? Is it being assessed in a way? So, and by assessed, is it just group work? Is it just papers, or is it, because these are practical examinations. IFoA exams are professional examinations. They aren't academic examinations, they are professional examinations, and they are sat in a timed environment so that when students answer this, they have to answer it within a timed period. So when it's a research degree, are there assessments that are timed assessments that are comparable to what it would be for a professional examination? And then is the computer coverage for those examinations that do have computer exams, the paper B part of the examinations, is their coverage not only of the material, but also the assessment that is comparable to the IFoA coverage. And that's what we look to see, is those are the three main core things: the curriculum coverage, the assessment, and then the paper B, the computer coverage. So it's less about whether it's research or not, but are those three things covered? Hopefully, Isaac, that helps.
Thank you so much, Irene Redman. That's a great presentation from you, and I really like your response, and I'm satisfied. Thank you.